What's going on, everybody? This is a year of work that has taken to get to this point. We're excited, extremely caffeinated, going to have a blast. This is quite the honor to be with all of you. As you know, Cardinal is a healthcare performance marketing agency. We care so much about what it takes to connect patients with care. And over the next 2 days, we're going to get to hear from all of the biggest industry experts in healthcare marketing. This is going to be so cool. And yes, we're going to talk a little bit about what has happened in 23 because it's been big, but we're more so going to focus on what we see is going to be working in 2024. Everybody say hi to our Chief Growth Officer, Lauren Leone. What's up?
Morning, everybody. Thanks for being here.
If you know Cardinal, you know Lauren, and you know she's the smart one, and I'm just the guy with the face that should have stuck to radio. She calls me her work uncle, which is kind of weird. So we're going to definitely make sure she does most of the talking here today. Lauren, 2023 has been a wild ride. I don't remember ever having a more turbulent year that ended up actually providing a lot of opportunity for growth for all of our provider group friends and clients. So what's the elephant in the room that happened in 23 that everybody probably knows about, but that we're going to talk about how to do something with next year?
I mean, the biggest thing, and it's interesting, as I reflect back, it really was in December of last year that the change happened, but it took like 3 months for us all to become aware of the change in the HHS guidelines, use of marketing technology, pixels tracking, and then the FTC enforcement that came from it. And that has continued to evolve, but it really threw a wrench in what all of us knew to be the best practices in marketing. And we had to adapt pretty quickly.
Yeah. And some of those I mean, what a pain in the butt that was, like to find out, oh, Google Analytics, you can't have pixels. I mean, that was a scary few months for us, for our clients, everything. But it has yielded really cool results. The onboarding of all kinds of new technology, like this has been a net positive.
I mean, it has, because you fell into patterns of using what everybody else was using to track. You had your limitations. You weren't really pushing the envelope on, can I get further into my booking funnel? Can I pass better data back? Can I attribute, more? And what it forced us to do was build out a marketing tech stack that inherently had some of those capabilities. And then all of a sudden we're going from, did I drive a new patient lead? Did someone call me? Did someone fill out a form? To, I know that they booked online. I know the source that they came from, the type of appointment maybe. And I'm really getting more sophisticated in how I spend my dollars.
It has forced us to get more sophisticated. And I think what it did for healthcare marketing leaders was it got buy-in from the C-suite to adopt technology and invest earlier than they would have previously, because we don't want to get sued. But actually that technology helps us acquire patients more efficiently. So it's been
It does both.
Yeah, it does both. So it's been good for us, good for the clients, and good for all those patients that needed to get connected with care. At the end of the day, medical marketing is marketing that matters. And so over the next 2 days, we won't forget that what we are doing here isn't just to drive traffic, clicks, leads. Those leads are real people. Those are real people that need your care. So this is going to be all under that vein. Every kind of tip is to help people get healthy. That's cool. I really enjoy that part of the business. A lot of our clients, nearly all of our clients, are private equity backed. Big slowdown in acquisitions. What have you seen the focus be this year?
Yeah. We've seen, growing kind of your organic strategies. So we've seen groups either maybe trying to grow within their current footprint. So bringing on more doctors, building out capacity there, maximizing kind of your capacity at your current footprint. De novos, we did see some de novo growth this year, but the acquisition train that had been rolling since 2020 definitely took a bit of a step back. Employer brand and talent acquisition was another big one. So just kind of shifted the focus. And
it was pretty cool that now we're focusing on de novos and organic growth, and all of a sudden SEO's in vogue again. Like you can't just grow at all costs through paid media now, like CAC matters, blended CAC. We're going to talk all about that. You guys are going to hear from all of the Cardinals, or a good bit of the Cardinal flock, over the next 2 days, and they have brilliant presentations. I asked them, no bullshit, no high level, just high level nonsense. We're going to talk tactics and things you can use that you won't get anywhere else to go grow your practice today. This will be the most advanced performance marketing summit for healthcare you'll find anywhere. That is our positioning. That is what I stake our name on. So you actually are going to get to hear from what our clients get to hear working with the flock. You're going to get to hear that client or not. So that's going to be really cool for you guys. Please attend all of the Cardinal events. You're going to love that. 2024, what are the majority of our clients and partners looking at?
Yeah. So It's crowded. I mean, gone are the days that if, you can be an early adopter of healthcare marketing. Everyone's here now. So the patient journey, differentiation in the brand, really focusing on the patient, making it easy for them, addressing their fears, barriers, speaking to them in a way that feels like they are personally spoken to. I mean, you've really got to understand your patient journey. You can't just say, I have convenient locations, I take insurance anymore. That is table stakes. In healthcare marketing, it's just noise.
It used to be easy. You could just run PPC and get really good Google Maps and SEO rankings and you'd be good. You land someone on your locations page and you'd convert them because the rest of your competitors weren't really there. The user experience wasn't bad. Now we're going to talk full funnel advertising and marketing throughout this conference and how the patient journey must be understood and how to convert and provide patient access. So this is cool.
Yeah.
Healthcare marketing has advanced more in 1 year than in the 15 years I've run Cardinal.
Yeah, it's, you see people coming in from other verticals. Maybe this is their first time in healthcare in some of our CMO seats or whatever. And there's always this like shock factor at maybe how behind the healthcare vertical is.
We're catching up.
So you've got, you've got like all the excitement of like, I know the playbook, I just have to adapt it to healthcare. And you've got the HIPAA layer on top of it, which becomes this unknown. So if you can focus on those two things, bring them together, you should have a recipe for success.
Yeah, absolutely. And it creates a moat too, because these things aren't easy to do. The right technology and systems to have HIPAA compliant marketing, not every provider group out there is leveraging them yet. It creates a moat for you guys. So the quicker you adopt and invest in technology and the right system and marketing partners, the more ahead of the game you're going to be. But it has been cool to see the retail marketers and e-com marketers come into what they thought was a really slow and lagging industry and help speed us up and realize that healthcare ain't effing around. We actually know what we're doing and we're becoming more advanced than e-com. So I'm really excited about that kind of stuff. Lauren, this is going to be really cool. I'm pumped. The CMO session that y'all are about to see in just a few minutes has three of the most brilliant marketing leaders I've ever met. I have trouble keeping up with them. As you can understand, I have trouble keeping up with most people, but they are brilliant. This is going to be a really innovative discussion. I've talked with all of them beforehand. I know them personally. It's going to be brilliant. Make sure you tune in just a few minutes. Welcome to Scaling. Go get refilled on your Starbucks. And I'm still live, apparently, Austin's telling me. So that's very cool. Guys, I don't know how the hell to do a virtual event like this. This is cool. Look how beautiful this is. This is real. I'm not like looking at a computer. So this is cool, guys. Hey, we're learning. Yeah, we're learning with you. All-time record registrations we've had for this event. So definitely the biggest event Cardinal's done. I'm honored that you guys spent time and money to attend. And as I said yesterday on LinkedIn, I'm donating 100% of ticket sales to our nonprofit partner here in Atlanta on FIA. We love them, and a lot of kids are going to have a really cool Christmas. So just know you're learning, and we're getting to donate and help a bunch of needy kids here in Atlanta. So this is really, really awesome. Everybody, guess what? We've got Kristina, Dave, and Blair here in the house. Big time CMO is going to share the big time knowledge with us. Honored to have them. What's going on? Kristina, you with me?
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. How are things in San Diego?
Beautiful, as you can see. But I am in a hotel lobby, so
I love it. Hey, listen,
looks great.
It looks awesome. And we can see palm trees, guys. So don't be jealous. It's 72 and sunny there. How do I know that? Because it's a day of the year in San Diego, and that's going to be the temperature. Let's give quick intros. Kristina, you're in San Diego. What should people know about you?
I am in San Diego. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Mercy Health System, actually headquartered in St. Louis. I'm located in Oklahoma City. Mercy is a non-for-profit Catholic healthcare over 5 states in the region. Over 40,000, not 40,000, over 50,000 coworkers, providers, physicians within our system. We're a fully integrated system, so primary care all the way through specialty care, hospitals, clinics, rural access hospitals. So large integrated system and ready to be here and talk healthcare marketing.
I love it, and super complex. And I won't pigeonhole hospital marketers in general, but Kristina is one of the most performance-focused marketing leaders I have ever met. She's done some really advanced stuff. I can't wait to get into it. Blair, what's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, how's it going? How's it going?
What's going on at Flagship now? Very exciting.
Yeah. Nice to meet y'all. I am Chief Marketing Officer at Flagship Specialty Partners. We're a management services firm that partners with oral surgery practices. So we might be the tightest niche on the screen here today. Been in specialty care, healthcare marketing for 17 years, most of it on the medical side, orthopedic, CV, GI groups, outpatient surgery, and now 6 months here at Flagship. Our company is still in startup phase. We're just hitting our 2-year anniversary as an organization. So tons of exciting stuff to talk about today. Looking forward to it.
That's good. And we're going to hear about all the toddler 2-year-old woes.
Yeah,
that
Blair's
you're going
just
through.
building it. So he gets to talk about it from the
That's
ground
good.
level.
Blair has one of my favorite sayings of all time: all gas, no brakes. I fucking love that.
All gas, no brakes. Yep.
I don't know. We're allowed to drop that.
I think Dave is on that team.
Yeah,
too,
dude. Dave,
from what I know.
Thanks, man. And so we've got 2 high acuity marketing leaders in Kristina and Blair, and we've got low acuity, which is generally more of what we do at Cardinal. So Dave, tell them what they should know about you, buddy.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm actually dialing in from balmy Birmingham, Michigan, very similar to what I think Kristina is experiencing. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at AllCare Primary and Immediate Care. I started with the company back in March, so I'm still relatively new, though, in AllCare years. I'm certainly a veteran. We're definitely a company scaling up. We're in the retail primary care space. We're in 4 markets. Atlanta is a big market for us, so we get the opportunity to drop in and see our friends at Cardinal from time to time when we're there. And I've been in healthcare for 5 years. Prior to that, I was on the agency side for a very long time. I was at General Motors. I was at Facebook, so I've kind of seen the entire marketing ecosystem, if you will, and it's really kind of helped me inform how I approach things in this particular role.
I love it. From selling cars to care. You can come back to the agency side anytime, buddy. It's a safe place. You just age at twice the normal rate of everybody else. Guys, there's a poll open right now. Go to the polls, because this is going to help our crew understand kind of where we focus some of the conversations. I want to know from you, this will actually help me understand how to guide a lot of conversations over the next 2 days. We gave way too many effing options here, so we'll see if we get to stat sig on this one. But everything from patient volume, patient journeys, full funnel advertising, marketing tech, attribution, blah, blah, blah. Go answer it. I can't wait to start getting into this. Wow. All right, good.
Alex,
everybody.
I'm proud of you talking about stat sig. Look at you. You've come so far.
I just steal all of them. Guys, the best cheat code to marketing is you get on a call with this one and you just memorize everything she says, and then you just reverberate it at the right times. Regurgitate it at the right times. Look at this. All right, we're getting a winner here. Lead attribution. I need my glasses. Damn it, Dave. I'm getting
lead
old.
Attribution and inability to demonstrate marketing ROI. That is
all right.
Not surprising.
How do you fix that?
Well, we'll talk about it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And then number 2, HIPAA compliance and marketing. Still a hot topic. I love that.
Brand they go together.
That's cool. Brand awareness, number 3. So performance branding, performance creative. And we're going to talk a lot about that kind of stuff in this conference. So that is really fun. Awesome. The topics we've chosen will work. All right,
we did a poll beforehand to figure that out.
We did plenty of polling. Awesome. We can end it. Thank you, guys. Our producers here are awesome. Austin, Alicia, and Olivia. They're so cool, making us let this whole event happen. So big props to them. You'll never see them, but
maybe at the end we'll let them make a cameo.
That's awesome. So let's dig in. Kristina, when we talk, I was just blown away. You've embarked on I'm about to use, I hate it. I'm about to use a buzzword, digital transformation. I hate that I just said that. But you were out to prove the effectiveness of marketing. You were focused on the PCPs and driving more primary care visits. Tell us about that big initiative that you embarked on, because this is cool. You measured it. Everyone should hear about this.
Yeah, so most recently, and I was actually talking about this yesterday, it's probably one of the most exciting points in my career. So I've been at Mercy a little over 11 years, almost 12 years, and we've been talking about it the whole time. How do we go to market where we have created an operational model that can bring patients in and engage those patients? And hadn't really gotten there. And then we had a new CEO start and new senior leadership last fall, and they came to me and challenged me and said, how does marketing bring operations forward? So we started talking as a group. We partnered with consumer experience, product development within our organization, and then operations to say, if we were to go big and do a big campaign to drive more of the awareness than we've done historically, we've been a pretty much digital marketing organization for the past 10 years. So if we were to go big and we were to do the billboards and the TV commercials and all of those things, how do we ensure that we're able to acquire those patients, bring them in, but also create those kind of openings where patients actually want to engage in healthcare? So we worked together, we created some digital products to be available to patients so that they could engage at the time they want to, how they want to, in the space they want to. But then we also provided operations with a lot of tools to say, you think that you want to grow, but your providers are not actually accepting new patients. They're not bringing in those new patients. So how do we open up that access? Once we gave that transparency, our operational leaders really partnered with us to say, okay, we'll open up the access if you'll do the marketing. So we set thresholds of when we would see patients, when we would need to have new patient availability in key service lines as well as primary care before we would go live in a community, and we scaled it. We have now launched in all communities. We're heavy in all communities. We did a phased approach based on the access and availability. And to date, we started the campaign April 1 this year. To date, we've seen 25% growth in primary care year over year, and then 13% growth in service lines year over year. And we've also attributed part of that, of each of those, to the actual campaign. And we did that with our enterprise data and analytics team. They basically did a forecast model based on the capacity that was being opened, what they would expect we would see, and then what we actually saw, and marketing was attributed the additional piece of that. So we ended up getting the attribution of about 13% in the primary care growth. So 13% out of the 25% came from the marketing campaign or building that awareness and driving. And then 8% of the service line growth. So definitely being able to be at the table, have those conversations. We continue to monitor what that availability is and go to operations frequently to say, you're not growing at the level that we're seeing in this community because you're not opening up access. So how do we start and continue to do that?
I love that. And that was a big theme that we heard this year is capacity planning. You didn't just, marketing just didn't start firing off with campaigns and lead gen acquisition campaigns. Everywhere you went to ops, you brought them together. Oftentimes that can be the same marketing leader, well, the same leader in a smaller group. But if there's an ops leader, getting with them, where do we have capacity and what service lines and where do we want it? And then somehow you measured it across all of these locations. You measured. That's very cool.
I love that model. We've got a session later on kind of, building out KPIs and this forecasting of what would we do if we stayed the same and didn't change? And then what happens if we layer these things on? That becomes, the estimated growth. I think that's an awesome way to look at it, especially when you're using full funnel and traditional, and you're never going to get a last click on a TV commercial. So you've got to make meaning of it some way. So I think that's really great. I think we'll have some more stories like that starting to emerge. But Kristina's ahead of the game.
That's good. Basically doing everything we're going to talk about in this conference.
Guys,
Blair, what's up?
I would jump in and also say too, the fact that your leadership team saw the value of having a CMO at the table to make decisions for the entire organization should not be understated in your comments. Like that is a critical component of understanding the role of a CMO. And it's awesome that you've got that. A lot of times it takes a long time in a company to convince your leadership team that you should actually be invited to more of the meetings. And the fact that you're in that space is awesome, Kristina. So kudos to you for taking advantage of it.
I would agree, but it's also a lot of pressure because when they say pull operations along and you're going to those hospital presidents that don't want to hear from the marketing person, they just want that billboard, right?
Totally.
So you gotta kind of push through.
Yeah.
Everybody was
CEO.
Everyone was quiet and left marketing alone through COVID because everything was up and to the right. All of a sudden we're important again and you guys care and you want attribution. That's funny. Blair, before you get into patient acquisition campaigns and lead gen, is there what marketing moves are you doing or how are you thinking about things? A new marketing leader needs to know this, even if there's existing campaigns. Like, do you just go into PC or are you thinking about things differently?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We're not all that different from kind of how Kristina thought about it. I had a CEO many years ago, when I was in QSR actually, working for McDonald's, that said it goes operational excellence and leadership marketing, and it goes in that order. And it isn't, let's just be a phenomenal marketer, but not have the capacity or the ability to actually bring them in. And so we very much are assessing, again, been here 6 months, our organization is 2 years old. We have 8 oral surgery practices in 3 states that we manage. And a lot of it is just assessing candidly, what is the capacity for us to bring patient volume in? Where do we get our patients from? What does our referral base look like? And really understand with our practice manager team, our like local leaders, right? Our 35 or 36 local CEOs, or we call them sort of the physician of the office might be the commanding officer, and practice manager might be the executive officer. How can we help them be in charge of production, right? Oftentimes marketing, go drive volume, go drive volume, go drive volume. The reality is production, though, is an operations role. It is not a marketing role. And if we can empower those leaders to be able to come to the department, not just marketing, finance, RCM, IT, HR, how can you help me as a support center be better? So we're rethinking our structure at Flagship to say that we are experts at managing practices. And we do that by partnering with the physician to remove the obstacles for them to get it done and empower their operations team to lead the organization. And that's a marketing guy talking. And so that's what I think is so interesting about what we're trying to do here. So not too dissimilar from where Kristina's coming from.
And a good point in there as well. It's not just drive more leads. This is a business, guys. It takes conversion. It takes taking patients and converting them into reimbursements and having the right payer partnerships and aligning with capacity. That's awesome. And Dave, is that all that dissimilar from how you think about it in primary and urgent care? And you were in ABA as well, and that's more of a longer sales cycle, if you will. But what are you looking at before you start launching it? You just launched an Alpharetta in my neighborhood. How do you think about going to market?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about capacity, certainly patient acquisition is critical, and you want to take a patient-centric approach to make sure that you're identifying the right levers to resonate and reach. But I would also say too, if you have a business where there is the opportunity for ongoing engagement and retention opportunities, right? I mean, that capacity can be also filled through getting people back, right? So in our business, obviously, primary care. There's the opportunities to have an ongoing relationship with our patients and kind of partner with them on their health and wellness journey. So beyond patient acquisition, it's thinking more, I think, holistically about what's the downstream impact and thinking about it more probably from a lifetime value perspective, right? Like, how do we, we've put all this energy into acquiring a new patient. How best can we serve them moving forward?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for talking about patient retention, Dave. Bam, bam, bam. It's like the word of the day. Yeah. Someone gets $100 somewhere, like some Elmo kid is happy. Yeah, that's awesome. It's about lifetime value of the patient. And too often we get on discovery calls and we say, what's your acceptable CAC? They give us a number. Well, does that include the patient staying with you? No, it doesn't. That's just the first appointment CAC we can tolerate. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Dave and I talk all the time. There is a schedule to be filled. We have providers that can see X number of patients, and what is the right mix of that schedule with keeping patients on, bringing them back as they need to, right? And filling with new opportunities. It's not a one size fits all, but I love that organizations, I think one thing in the shift of, how much money is in private equity and this mindset of acquire new patient at all costs has slowed down, and everyone's really thinking, I built this database of patients that I've seen, and I haven't done a lot to ensure that they are loyal, that they are referring, that they are, helping with our reputation and coming back when they need us. I mean, oftentimes we like to say your patients are your competitors' prospects. And if you aren't there putting, a message in front of them, someone else is going to.
Did we come up with that? That's pretty smart.
Jordan did. So you guys will hear from her later.
You're young. Do you have a PCP?
I do have a PCP, but I feel like being in healthcare marketing, I'm probably a little bit different.
Yeah, we're cautious people here. Kristina, how do you and Dave, how do y'all reach the younger generations? I'm no longer in that hands bold spot, but how do you reach the younger people that just think I'm sick, I go to urgent care and that's all I need? What did you guys do? Kristina, obviously you had like verifiable metrics that it worked.
Yeah, so we have urgent care. So we also know that population is going to probably engage in urgent care or some more convenient place, right? So what we've done is connect them to urgent care or connect them to our digital products. So we created a digital care navigation tool where you can go online, answer a few questions, and it tells you, yeah, you can go ahead and go to urgent care, or you really should engage with a primary care office, or you should go see a specialist. And it points you to where those resources are. We've also created an online product where you can answer a few questions. It's through BrightMD. It's called Mercy Express Care, where you can go on and basically get diagnosed and get your prescription all through an online source. So that's providing some of those options. Then the opportunity, with especially that younger audience, is to then say, okay, now that you've engaged in this, here's what's really beneficial for you if you engage with primary care. And then putting them on that nurturing path of, here's what it means to you, and here's what we can connect you to if you engage with primary care and start that relationship. So we're really trying to meet them where they want to be, which is in that urgent care, more convenient digital space, and then pulling them along to where you need that longer term relationship to really get the benefits that you need for your health.
Educational. You take a big educational drip nurture approach. I've noticed that with your other service lines as well. So interesting. Dave, do you take a different approach when you're trying to get people in and remind them the value, the younger generations, of having a PCP?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of build on what Kristina was saying. I think it's kind of meeting them where they are. You know, you want it to be very authentic. The challenge with younger people, and I can remember this, you know, you take your health for granted, right? And it's when you start to hit certain milestones in your life that you start to have kids, you start to get older, then you really lean into that. Yeah. But the reality is there's so many things from a preventative standpoint that young people should be thinking about and leaning into. So I think there's a huge education opportunity. To your point, so it could be a drip campaign. It could just be content that's, geared towards them. There's, I think, a big opportunity for influencer marketing here, so you can drive some authenticity and leverage influencers' reach as well. So,
yeah. All right, let's do TikTok in 24. Blair,
it's on the roadmap.
Yeah, it's on the roadmap. All
yeah.
right, cool. Hey, Blair. So, Flagship, badass. Some of the best marketing I've ever seen. I think even acquired its own marketing company to have the best marketing I've ever seen. Pretty cool stuff. But Blair, you're competing against a 500-pound gorilla of industry, and we won't name names, but like, how do you get a foothold? And a lot of provider groups are feeling that they're not yet 300 locations, they're 30 and want to be. Like, what do you take a different approach?
Yeah,
and that's us for sure. Yeah, so we're I think we're bumping up to maybe 35 or 36 locations now. But yeah, we are definitely going up against some long in the tooth groups that have been doing this for a long time. I think the opportunity, right, is to think about it two different ways. One is, I think the team here, right, our private equity partner and our existing leadership team really took the time to deliberately hire an organization that thinks about the business as a partnership with practices. One of the things that we get into very deliberately is we don't see ourselves as a corporate model, which in some cases is kind of rampant in sort of the DSO or MSO space for us, which is, here's how you're going to do it, follow our playbook, go execute. We actually let all of their brands keep their name. We let them keep most of their operational structure. We do very little tinkering, and then we add value as a partner where we can. Now, clearly we leverage our regional, platform to say, hey, here's some best bets or best practices, or here's things we've learned in, Charlotte that could be applied to Greenville or be applied to Richmond or be applied to Charleston. But for the most part, it is really partner led. And I don't want to underplay that. It's a key difference in our space, right, Alex? Like, that is not common in most of our spaces.
Yeah.
The second part to that is then being able to execute on it. Right. And so the challenge there is to build a team that has a wide variety of skill sets, who can pull levers in different ways, not just market nuance and patient differentiation, right, but actually different, like, maturity of practice. We have some groups, in oral surgery, just to level set a bit, most practice sizes are 3 to 4 physicians. Like that's it.
That's it.
And it is a complicated insurance environment where some of it is dental, some of it is medical. It's very difficult for the patient to navigate those long time periods of AR. Like our AR period is very different than it was on the medical side. And so you have to manage that cash flow. So you have a skill set of individuals that has to come together to understand we're going to let the partners manage how they manage. But we're going to come in as a team to then provide these best practices and expertise. And so I'm building a marketing department that can actually think about that regionally, as opposed to individually by market or by practice. And so those are the two things that we're focusing on to try to, again, buzzword here, to differentiate ourselves from some of the bigger MSOs.
You're
DSOs
following
in our
through
space.
on the promise. When they come into the fold and they're acquired, you're following back on the promise. Hey, listen, we're going to maintain a house of brands. You're going to keep your individual. And that's great. And that makes sure that the care is phenomenal. That's going to be the biggest driver there, making sure we get lots of referrals. And that is the cheapest patient you can acquire. That's awesome. And so we touched on a little bit of full funnel patient journeys. Dave, you've really taken this on this year. This is not so simple, guys. We can't just show up in PPC and SEO, or you found that. Is that what made you want to get into different parts of the funnel? Kristina's doing it. You're doing. What's going on, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all playing in a very competitive landscape, right? And to kind of capture the hearts and minds of people, we have to make sure that we're expanding our reach and not just being there when people are looking for us, but trying to be part of the consideration when they're maybe not thinking about healthcare or primary care or anything like that. So, foundationally for us, obviously making sure it's almost a bottom up versus top down. We want to make sure that we have a significant presence when people are seeking out services that we provide or seeking out us. But then layering on top of that, right? Looking at things like digital video, programmatic, other tools to just expand our reach. And as we open new locations, that's super important, right? Because in some instances, we have zero awareness. So the ability to kind of get out there and convey what our, value prop is pretty important.
Yeah, killer. And when you're opening a new location, we're learning lessons of you have to go really heavy, and that cannot, heavy on advertising to lay the seeds there so somebody knows about you, so the population knows about you. And when you don't, it's like, oh my gosh, that's going to be expensive. The CPL is going to be through the roof. You know what ends up happening when you don't is your CPL is through the roof forever because nobody ever knew about you. Kristina, along the same veins, tell us about. It's full funnel in a different way. Tell us about how you keep patients for their entire journey. How do you keep them engaged? A lot of performance marketers so focused on net new patient acquisition, get them in and we're done. And I want to shift that thinking to maintaining communication with patients through their entire journey with us. How do you keep patients engaged with Mercy?
Well, so we have a couple different ways. Part of it is looking at the full funnel, right? And so I'll kind of start there. One thing that we realized is we have a huge gap in measuring our full funnel and understanding where people are falling out of that funnel. So we have partners for urgent care, for example, that all of that data is going through that urgent care partnership. So we're trying to pull that information together so that we can start to say, okay, if they do go to urgent care website and they don't have a hold my place that was comfortable and they fall out, how do we re-engage those patients? So also 82% of our appointments are made through phone calls that we don't track. So how do we get everybody on the system where we're tracking those phone calls and we understand, if they call in and they don't get the appointment that they were looking for, those types of things. So that's one thing that we're heavily involved in for this next calendar year is getting that data kind of in a central depository so that we can start to understand that. But currently, there are quite a few ways that we try to engage. One is cross-sell. So as patients come in the door, they have certain health conditions that they are primed for based on their behaviors, their demographics, those types of things. So how do we feed up the right information, the educational information for those other services that they may need to engage in? So if you have an older patient that is very active and they're in that demographic, could they be having hip or knee pain and need to engage with our ortho? And how do we start to kind of bring them along that journey so that they know that that option is available for them? How do we engage them in the ongoing screenings that are required for their demographic? And so we have a lot of the drug campaigns, as you mentioned, that we measure. Are we engaging them in that way where they might have other services that they need or desire to engage in? The other piece that we do is in partnership with our operations team and our clinicians is for very specific conditions. Let's say you're pre-diabetic. How do we create the actual healthcare journey in a more digital space where we can understand our patients engaging to get their A1C? If they do get their A1C, are we prompting them to go in to see their doctor so that they can get the medications and the things that they need for the ongoing monitoring? So those are very specific care journeys that are less marketing, more how do we make it easier for the patient to actually do what they need to do? And then the cross-sell is really in the marketing realm.
I love it. And can we give props to Kristina for saying cross-sell? I mean, at the end of the day, we're selling here, guys. We're trying to generate revenue. God, we're so, we use such butterfly terms in healthcare sometimes. Let's cross-sell. That's what our C-levels want is revenue. I love that.
It's so interesting. Like the dynamic of in any given organization, I think the size probably dictates, and Dave can speak to this, like the intersection of operations and marketing, because I know you said, Kristina, that's not really a marketing thing. But having the right messaging, the right stories. Blair said we start with operational excellence and work our way down. Like, how do you extract those stories and then tell them? The intersection of marketing and ops is really interesting in these organizations. And I just think that that's an interesting call out. I'm sure, Dave, you can probably speak to at AllCare in a smaller org, you have pretty strong purview over all of those things or influence over all of those pieces.
Yeah, and I was encouraged in the polling that brand matters to the folks on this in this webinar, because I think sometimes in digital marketing, it takes a little bit of a backseat because there's so much science that can be taken. There's audience segmentation, there's tons of measurement. And sometimes I feel like messaging kind of comes secondary, and it's critical, especially as I referenced. I mean, we're in a very competitive space. The ability to differentiate ourselves and to adequately or effectively convey what makes us truly unique and why someone should be coming to us should not be glossed over. I mean, I think that's super, super critical. And how you get to that messaging, there's a lot of different ways. You can do it through research, both qual and quant. If you don't have those means, you can do it with A/B testing, right? But it's super important to make sure that you understand kind of what that critical messaging is. And it can be informed, to your point, Lauren, from all aspects of the organization, right? Getting that learning, staying very close to ops and understanding what patients are saying and what matters to them can really inform your marketing messaging.
Yeah. And it's okay to educate patients on the benefits of seeking care in your other service lines. I mean, even low acuity, even in derm, they have cosmetics, and cross-sell education is the name of the game. Blair.
Yeah, I was going to just top spin what Dave said. I think, having the organization have a really robust feedback loop is really critical there, right? So like, as you describe how it's going, like to not share that internally with the rest of the org is a huge misstep for the organization. And I think early on, our organization, right, go back a year, we kind of all just like started sprinting, and you found that the feedback loop was missing, and we're kind of overstepping and or shifting responsibilities from one lane to another, and we had to pull back. Our CEO, myself, some of our other teammates would say, hey, listen, let's just get aligned around what it is that we're learning, and here's what we found out. Even going through the RCM process, or thinking like marketing sits in on that. Going through patient communication, patient messaging, like how do we write our letter that your insurance was denied? Like marketing has a seat at the table in all of those conversations. And so as we think about it, the patient experience gets boosted simply because the feedback loop incorporates everybody that's a part of the org. So kudos, Dave. It's a great piece to not just mention here, but also execute, like do it.
You're not just educating patients, you're educating the entire company on what marketing is finding.
It's an interesting shift. I think for the first time this year, I've seen instances where marketing has data that they are sharing with ops. Like the flow is going that direction. I'm excited for you, Kristina, that 82% of your interactions come through phone, and you're going to have a mechanism next year to better understand that. I've seen the power of, call tracking and AI listening and interpreting the outcomes and using that data to then create better patient experiences too. But I can say, like, never before has marketing just, sits and waits for ops to tell them the feedback. They're not generating it and handing it off and saying, this is what we've learned. So it seems like everyone is in various stages of building out that muscle.
And if anyone needs a good call
Yeah,
tracking,
and it's really,
some platinum sponsors. Yes,
yeah, it's
Kristina.
really just connecting all those pieces on that phone piece. But so I'm looking at the webinar chat, and several people have commented on it. It's interesting that so much more is coming in through phone versus forms.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk to that just a bit. So we don't do, the only forms that we actually do are to download a guide. So for example, that ortho, hip and knee information that I mentioned earlier, if you want to learn more about how to manage your knee pain, you can download a guide. That's the only type of form we do. We do online scheduling for primary care specifically, and we've gone into cardiology, very specific visit types in cardiology. So that's the only way that patients can engage digitally to actually get scheduled. So a lot of our calls are to schedule for some of those subspecialists, those specialty appointments. We're working with our specialty operations now to say, what are the visit types that don't require a referral that a patient can go in and self-schedule? So how do we empower the consumer to do that? Once we do that, and we are able to provide those opportunities for patients to self-schedule into a physician schedule, I believe that 82% will go drastically down, right? Because primary care, for example, is not at an 82% schedule through the phone, but our specialties are, and we're a large integrated health system, so that crosses a lot of pieces. So that call tracking lets us get down very specifically to this service line in particular is having issues in getting these patients in or losing these patients based on phone calls. So how do we then create that operational pathway to continue their journey?
I love that. And the session at 11 a.m. Eastern is all about call center optimization. So making sure that we don't get blamed for not driving the leads when actually they're just not converting. And we have great call tracking partners. They're being mentioned in the chat. And Kristina, thank you for paying attention to the chat. I'm getting old. I can't see a lot of them. But one question I did see, Blair, someone wanted to know, because you're on 30 locations on the way up. How do you structure your internal team? I get that question all the time. What's the first and second in-house
Especially when you're a house of brands, the complexities multiply.
Yeah.
Tell the people.
And so, so it's interesting. So we started thinking about it in terms of what, so we twofold. What are the services that we offer, and how do we set up a team at the practice? I think Dave said bottom up, right? So we don't think about it as a flagship brand, right? We think about it really as the practice brands. And so what is it that the practices need support for? Traditional, right? There's social media, content creation, and what I'll call a more traditional marketing manager approach, which is ORM, email, sponsorship, community. And so we're building that structure and putting that in place. But we also have an internal communications teammate as part of my team as well, specifically because I think if we were a corporate model where our brand kind of overlaid all of the groups that we partner with, it would be much simpler to send a memo, send an email, go to their after post-acquisition, post-affiliation, tell them what the new brand is. So we have to be really good at communicating across platforms. Keep in mind, different email domains, different servers, 4 different, on the dental side, it's practice management systems versus EHR, 4 different practice management systems. So we have to communicate all that across. So I made a very deliberate move to include internal communications as a function of the marketing department as well. So we have some traditional roles, marketing managers, social media, graphic design, content, but also an internal communicator as a part of my org.
That's killer. And I haven't heard that yet for a 30 located. That's cool.
An internal
is that important?
I think groups will use terms like field, maybe they have like field or market owners, but someone who is responsible for the liaising internally so that you get the feedback loops, so that you get the communication about big new initiatives or exciting, you guys, you may not dictate a playbook to them, but you're going to say, this group learned A, let me share that with you, make some recommendations, make sure that you are aware of the latest and greatest. best practice, and then they
And so-
decide.
And one thing I'll add to that too, just for the group to hear, is that our practice manager forum, where we bring all the practice managers from all of our practices together, regardless of brand, they all come together every month. That meeting is led by my internal comms teammate.
Awesome.
And the idea there is because that agenda and what goes on there, we can resource the support center for what they need. We need somebody from RCM because there's something going on. We need somebody from IT because there's something might be going on. We need somebody from HR because we're having some issues in a particular market or a challenge in some way. But the communications department, the marketing team actually runs the agenda of that meeting and sets it up, not the ops department, even though they're ops teammates.
Blair,
I love that.
I'm curious, and I know people will be too, like, what if as you grow this business with that model and allowing certain pieces to remain, kind of localized, what pieces do you think need to be brought together or uniform in order to scale? Like, certain things eventually are going to give. Like, what is your vision for that?
Marketing agency, but any other answers are okay too.
Let's say an outstanding agency partner. We need, there's a couple of, relatively quick ones, right? Social, I think, can be relatively, I'll use a centralized, standardized in some way. I think our ORM, absolutely managed, centralized in some way. Graphic design, centralized, managed centrally in some way. Community partnerships and sponsorships. We do have a field marketing team, physician liaisons that are part of some of the groups that we affiliate with. They maintain their local presence. Our marketing manager partners with them to learn the best practices and maybe replicate in some of the other markets that we have. That is a little bit of a hybrid role. How we think about ourselves as an internal communications team. I sit on a group here. We have like a nuts and bolts team. I'm part of the RCM group. I sit with part of the finance FP&A team. I sit with part of the IT and HR group. And so that is some of the communication function that's cross departmental that the marketing team has a stake in. And so it's a little bit of a mix, Lauren, but for the most part, there are some traditional things we centralize or regionalize, we call it, because we're Southeast. But the rest of it is kind of ad hoc, if you will. Like, we may determine how we have to lean in or not lean in, depending on the size and scale of the group. We have some groups that are 2 docs, 2 locations. We have another practice in Richmond. It's, 11 physicians, 5 locations. In Asheville, North Carolina, it's 11 physicians, 5 locations. Very different management structure.
Yeah. What about technology? Like, any tech that you're bringing in, either in an ideal state to roll out globally, or at least recommending things that make your life easier?
Yeah, so I see a lot of conversation in the chat here, and I'll throw another one in there. We are also a partner with Line, and so we use Line, and they're fantastic to work with, and we leverage them quite a bit. We use Bird Eye for ORM as a software partner. We're building. We're in the process. We're on a bit of a buzzwordy here. We're on a bit of a journey with data aggregation. We're trying to figure out how's the best way to, and I think Kristina mentioned this also, right? With 8 different organizations collecting 8 different bits of data on 4 different practice management systems. How do we bring it into one data cube that allows us to analyze that? So we are vetting partners. We have actually brought 2 teammates on board here in a BI role to determine, can we do this ourselves? Do we need a partner to do that? How and what does that look like? How much can you lean on your EHR practice management partners to help you get that done? So again, it's a little bit of a mix in a traditional startup mentality where we're going to fail at a few things and then figure out that doesn't work and move accordingly to change.
That's right. Fail fast, move on. Kristina, Dave, I want to hear from y'all as well. Favorite technology you're either utilizing now or excited to use in the next 12 months, marketing or otherwise? Kristina?
I'll jump in real quick.
Yeah.
We recently, when we rebuilt our website a couple months back, we also brought in a partner that we call, it's kind of the digital front door that does all the scheduling. So we're a little different model than Kristina. The majority of our scheduling takes place on our website, right? So what we did is partnered with a company called Yossi to drive improvements in that scheduling process, right? So that, and then it hands off to our EHR, so it becomes pretty seamless from the initial starting a booking to completing it to turning it to an actual appointment.
And even further, Dave, I think the pre-appointment messaging, the confirmations, the ability to cancel or reschedule. Yeah, I mean, great tool selection. It iframes right into the website, and your patients can book based on like earliest available appointment, which location they want to go to, or what appointment type they need to. So yeah, I mean, that was there was a question early on, like, what was the first thing you did? And I mean, Dave, that was, you dove right into that project.
Yeah. I mean, for context, when I started in March, I was the first marketing hire the company's had. And I was the only one for a long time. So starting to slowly build out the team, build out our capabilities and our tech stack as well. So
yeah,
not as far along as Blair and Kristina are currently.
Dave, I just hired my first marketing teammate, so I'm only a slight bit ahead of you. Yeah.
Hey man, it's crazy what we can accomplish with just a few people. Kristina, bit of marketing technology really excited about.
Oh my goodness. So there's so much technology that is entering in this space, but I don't think that we can get through a chief marketing officer conversation without talking about AI and chat, right? So, we've been using machine learning for a lot of ways and kind of in the background for some time, but I think with the new capabilities and as fast as that is evolving, I think the efficiencies that it provides marketing departments at this point, we were just talking yesterday, I'm at a different conference right now in person, and we were talking yesterday about, how we can utilize it to do physician profiles where we don't have a person that's sitting and writing from a CV. You put it in chat, they spit out a bio, and you send it to the physician and say, what's wrong with it? How do you want to customize it? So those efficiencies that's going to bring, even if you don't use it in external marketing, is going to be huge over the next year. So I think using it for the good. I know a lot of people are a little fearful of what it can do, but how do we use it to help our teams be more efficient and work at the top of their license, I think is going to be a huge piece of it. So I don't think we can get by the conversation without including that. So figured I better throw that in there, but lots of capabilities that are coming online this year that I'm excited about.
Everyone thought AI was going to take over our jobs and do everything for us. You're using it in the right way. It's a productivity enhancer. It can frame up things, but then you should still get, even if it's not provider bios, MD involvement in blog service pages, because it's creating an ocean of sameness on location, service, condition, treatment pages I'm seeing. So get MD involvement and tweak the ChatGPT content. We were selling our house here in Atlanta a few months ago. The realtor came and said, tell us about your house. We went to ChatGPT and said, tell us about our house. And we sold the damn house in 48 hours from what ChatGPT said. The realtor said, oh my God, this is amazing. I said, we didn't write it, dude. Why aren't y'all using ChatGPT? I love
there's actual marketing, copywriting, AI tools, but
what do we use? Jasper? I don't know.
There's a couple. There's a bunch of them, yeah.
Funny you mentioned the real estate piece, because yesterday they gave an example that realtor.com was using AI chat to do a lot of the descriptions, but they weren't double checking it. And it started using proximity to strip clubs as part of their descriptor. And they finally realized it and had to go back and go, oh, we need somebody to double check these before we publish them online. So it shows that you still have to have that human review in there.
The inputs really matter.
1 mile from Pink Pony.
Right, to your point, Kristina, it wouldn't be a CMO panel if we didn't talk about strip clubs. So perfect.
That's right. Throw it in there, right?
We've got audience questions, and Austin was kind enough this is a good one. Audience question. Let me ask y'all, because I can't keep up with these damn things. I can't see them. Has anyone experienced a higher no-show rate for those appointments that are able to self-schedule online? So no-show higher online or phone calls. It's Dave, you've gone online and phone calls.
Ask Dave this question.
I think have both.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that we're anything off from what the industry standard. And by the way, trying to find an industry standard is it's like the holy grail, trying to understand what benchmarks look like in our industry. But we're not recognizing anything that seems anything disproportionately different from what others seem to be achieving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Dave, I'll jump in there, because we had operational leaders that did say, we can't go online. We can't schedule online because we're seeing higher no-show rates. So we dug into the data, and it actually was not higher than our normal, no-show rate, whether it was scheduled online or by phone. But we did see an uptick in cancellations or no-shows. if the appointment was further out. So if they weren't served up an appointment within their expected time frame, so within a week, it was 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, then we would see those no-show rates go up. So if they didn't have the availability they wanted, they found other options before that appointment and didn't show. So that's when we would see that increase.
And getting to Lauren's point that she made earlier, I think making sure that you're keeping them engaged, right, with the appropriate amount of communication between the actual booking and the appointment itself, I think is pretty essential. And there's certainly a lot of opportunities to kind of calibrate and learn from that.
What are you, I saw this question just came in. What do you use for pre-appointment reminders? What do y'all use? Any bit of technology favorites?
We use a company called Intivio, which is connected to one of our major practice management systems, patient reminders, patient messaging. We don't at the moment have the ability to cancel or reschedule through that, but it is part of their roadmap. But it's pretty good.
Always part of the roadmap. Kristina?
Yeah, we're leveraging the same partner that does our scheduling. That's part of their suite of services, so they manage that messaging for us.
All right, cool.
It's nice that it can be all consistent in one place.
Yeah.
It's all their fault.
We built in-house capabilities for automated text messages and then also automated email messages and notifications through their health records, so their app.
It's awesome. And it's condition-based and stuff like that. That's awesome. I want to be big like Mercy and build my own stuff. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
How do you, I don't build it. I just partner with lots of people that do.
That's a whole nother
she's got product teams.
Yeah,
that
product teams, yeah.
Something else, quick tip that I've seen, even when online scheduling, the no-shows happen more often because there's no connection to the provider group. ZocDoc the worst at this. ZocDoc appointments cancel higher than anything because it's too easy to enter your information. Don't give a shit. I didn't talk to the provider. So someone calling from the practice and saying, hey, thanks for booking online. Just want to say we're excited to see you. You're going to see some documents come through. Please fill them out ahead. Anybody, a voice for them to get more connected to the practice we've seen help decrease no-show rates. Let's talk HIPAA compliant marketing because we talked strip clubs, but the only thing that we're missing now is HIPAA compliant
The reason
marketing.
everyone's actually
here. Yes, at the studio 5 miles from the Cheetah. How are you guys handling remarketing in a HIPAA compliant way? I mean, we've never been able to remarket, but now there's some other things we can do within the
I'd be curious everyone else's opinion before I give one. Is anyone using remarketing in any capacity?
In any way?
I think Kristina mentioned the word remarketing earlier.
We are, but it's differently than than using pixels or that type of thing. So it's more of when they've engaged in particular services or shown interest in particular areas, or just using kind of the standard third-party data to understand these patients and how can we potentially reach out to them in a space where they may have interest, right? It's not so much they've taken this specific action that we've then tracked and followed from a HIPAA compliance standpoint. So doing it a little differently, it's not as efficient, obviously, as what we had been seeing. So, how do you maneuver back around that and still provide the information that's helpful to the patient, but not overly scary?
We're trying to figure it out right now. So we don't have a good solve. We're actually partnering with some of your team members to kind of figure out like what's the best path forward for that. But I mean, let's face it. I've worked in other industries. Digital marketing is hard. I mean, it's there. We have headwinds that other industries don't really have. When it comes to HIPAA, and for all the right reasons, right? I mean, we're dealing with people's health and privacy and stuff like that. But it does add layers of complication that certainly need to be comprehended as we move forward and kind of navigate what we do next.
Yeah, and do so in a non-scary way, as Kristina said. Blair.
Yeah, same as really Dave. I think we're still navigating that. Again, we're slightly more nuanced in the oral surgery space, much smaller patient volume, really sort of way down the funnel in terms of care. Other than wisdom teeth or thirds, we're really kind of in a space where almost every one of our patients is mid to low funnel. They already know that they want the Toyota with the red, with these kinds of wheels, with this kind of engine. It's now just a question of just putting it in front of them. Still refining that as well too, but we're still working through how to be best in class at that.
I'll toss out a quick, like maybe replacement term that we can start talking more about. I mean, it's not going to be like, how do I work around and get what I used to do in remarketing, right? That's gone. We talk a lot about sequential messaging. I think that could be like a replacement for that term in our industry. I know person A engaged with this type of content or watched this video. What is the next message that they need to receive? Because they know X, but they don't know Y, right? Pulling them down. Kristina talked about pulling them down. So it's just a mindset shift, and we're never going to get retail, remarketing in our industry. So what is the next best way to help people through the journey?
Did you just coin that sequential messaging?
I mean, Rich, our chief strategy officer, we've been talking about sequential messaging for years in terms of building, like Blair, I know you're heavy on social funnels specifically, all just based on their engagements within the platforms. So, it doesn't have to be website based. It doesn't have to be appointment based. I think, Dave, we've been talking a lot about sequential, building out email nurture flows. That's an example of sequential messaging too. So it's just kind of understanding, like, what do I need to say next? Because I know that they liked message A and it resonated with them. And so I need to figure out what to say next.
I love what
I'll tell you, Lauren, the value of that for us is actually really robust, because you have TMJ, you have a total joint replacement surgery of your face, right? That's a low volume, super high revenue procedure. So if we can get really good at those things, we don't have to, we don't have to hit a ton of home runs. We just hit a few home runs to be MVP in the league, right? And so that's ultimately where we can get to. So that's great.
I love it. Austin, how much time do I have left? I have two questions. I'm wondering if we got 6 minutes. I need to touch on two things. One, how do y'all balance capacity with provider availability? How are you ingesting that? Are you looking at locations, guy? Anybody can answer this, saying once we hit 75%, I turn off advertising. It doesn't work that fast. How do you guys balance that? Do you get ops to tell you capacity, or is it a year-long or a week-long model? Real quick.
So we created tools for that campaign that I mentioned at the start of the hour. We created a transparency, kind of a dashboard that is by provider, shows days to first available and how many first available appointments are, and we roll it up by community. We've created thresholds. So I check it each week, and if we have less than 25% availability for new patient availability for primary care, we turn off campaigns. Harder with the heavier and the brand awareness pieces, right? So we turn off more of the targeted pieces and those types of things. And then if it's a prolonged period of time that we don't have that access opened up, then we start to take down the traditional media as well.
I think that's a good point. How long or sustained is that going to be? Is it short term? How reactionary do I need to be?
So many nuances, so many conversations with ops that need to be happening, like weekly stand-ups. Blair, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I would just support that by saying that's one of the benefits of online scheduling, right? Is that you can actually manipulate on the back end what the online portal looks like to then showcase to the patient, here is when the next available appointment is. And you don't necessarily have to turn on or turn off any marketing messaging, right? You just shift when the availability is. Key is you obviously need integration with PMS EHR, and you have to make sure that the group understands that how does the operations team, how do our practice manager leaders or our XOs that we call them understand that drives everything they should be doing at the practice level, how I staff, how I find clinical support, what do I do in the OR teams? That is the key piece, is what does your hall space look like in weeks 1 out, weeks 2 out, weeks 3 out, weeks 15 out. Allows you to do everything. And so that's a key piece that we're getting better at. We're by no means experts at it yet, but we're working hard to figure out a way that we call it our North Star. This is what we're going to be doing out in the front to say, here's what everything is so important. And that's the online scheduling, online visibility piece is so important.
Patient access matters, and I love it. I can't tell you how many times we've driven media and said, y'all don't have appointments for 2 weeks. What are we doing? And then, guys, layering on capacity, but also where are your reimbursements best? What states, what cities? Think like revenue. Hey, all right, they're kicking me out. No. So one more question from the audience that I saw. Newer marketers, young marketers, how do they make the biggest impact in their first year at their organization? Y'all have any tips for the young market? Come on, let's give a little back Austin, relax. 3 minutes. All right, we're gonna get to it. I promise I'll end. Dave, any
Yeah, I
any
would
tips
just
for young
say,
Dave?
I would just say lean into your role, look for opportunities. I think when marketing is successful and at its best, it is identifying opportunities and solving problems. And it doesn't have to be specific to marketing. It can be throughout other aspects of the organization. I got a great example that we don't have enough time to cover, but like really just, be a sponge and try to learn as much as you can. If you're physically going somewhere, be present, be visible, and always be willing to take on, additional opportunities.
Problems outside of marketing, Kristina.
I would say ask a lot of questions. I still ask a lot of questions every time I'm faced with a request or, hey, let's dig into this with marketing. I ask a lot of questions. What are we trying to solve for? Help me understand what you're seeing. What do I need to do to support this? What do you need from us? Ask those questions and then bring your ideas.
Yeah, don't just do. Ask the question of why. Blair.
I would simply say this. Also ask, why don't we? Be skeptical if you're new. Like, how come we don't do this? Why aren't we challenging that? How come we don't have this? Not to be a pain in the ass, but to learn, to challenge the organization, get alignment.
Yeah, that our teachers always told us there's no stupid questions. There are, but ask them anyway. All right, guys. Thank you. This was awesome, fun, great start. This was awesome. I love it. Scaling up, worth the damn time we put into this. Thank you, Kristina, Blair, Dave. Thank y'all. This was a hell of a kickoff. Everybody excited. If you didn't get your question answered, find them on LinkedIn or day 2. We have a Q&A session at the end of the day. It's at 3:30. That's like noon on San Diego time where Kristina is. It's totally fine. Stay and ask your questions there or find these guys on LinkedIn. They've been some of the most helpful people. I've asked them lots of questions on how to be a better marketer. They've always answered. I know they will for you too. See y'all at the next session. Thank y'all. Thank Cardinals and thank you, Lauren.
Thanks for having us.
Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.